Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Let's talk about survival. They say only the strong can survive, right? Well, it's not that. It's really the smart. You gotta be strong mentally also to survive. And here's a question for you in regards to survival. Is it easier to survive by changing the world, changing your environment around you? Or is it easier to survive by changing yourself first? What do you do first? Do you change the world around you, change everybody else around you? Or do you change yourself? This question is kind of existential, and it seems to have bled into all kinds of areas. Personal growth, psychology, even political beliefs with social justice. Should I force society to change? Or should I adapt to society? Is there a problem with adaptability? I have to remind myself to be adaptable, to bend with the wind like the palm tree, to not be so rigid like the oak tree. The oak tree falls in the storm. I'm here in Florida, and I watch these big, strong trees get knocked over like they're nothing. These palm trees, they bend. I got a couple palm trees out front of the house. They've been through every goddamn hurricane this state's ever had, real bad hurricanes. They've never fallen over. Adaptability is an important skill, and I kind of feel like that when we get into this battle against the world, where it feels like our survival is hard, that maybe it's because we're being too rigid, that we're not adaptable, we're not adapting properly, we're not navigating around obstacles, we're trying to climb over them and just making life harder for ourselves. And we're just standing in front of a mountain, expecting the mountain to move. Some of this is generational. Older generations had an idea of survival, an idea of adaptability, where you adapt to your surroundings. Whatever that means, right? You adapt to the office that you work in. You don't try to change the whole company. You adapt to that culture that's within that office, and if you don't like it, you really don't like it, you get a new job. You move to a new town if you have to. But now it seems like people want to change that company. I'm lucky that I'm self-employed, that I have a small business, and I couldn't imagine having a group of employees write me some email or come to me and say, you have to change this or change that. I'd be like, this is my business. I started this business in my garage. You get the fuck out. And then what? I'd have a lawsuit? Should you change yourself, or should you change your environment? Should you force your environment to change? Should you change the world? Should I try to manipulate the world to suit my truth, to suit my beliefs, to fit my needs, my lazy form of survival, my victimhood? Should I change the world to accept me as a victim? Or should I change myself? Should I work on my skills of adaptability, be more adaptable, learn how to adapt to a planet that's trying to kill you, to a society that doesn't give a fuck about you, doesn't care if you feel included? Can you adapt to that? Maybe some people feel like life is too hard. And maybe that's our fault as an older generation, that we raised a bunch of weaklings. I talk about this in another video. But at some point, when we all grow up, I had to stop looking back at my mother and at my father and saying, you didn't prepare me for this journey, and realize I'm a man now. I'm an adult. I'm a bird, an eagle that's out of the nest. And I'm going to have to figure this out on my own. And how am I going to spend the next 50 years, if I'm lucky, 70 years, how long you feel like you're going to live? Am I going to spend my whole life fighting against the world? Me against the world? And when it's you against the world, you're stuck in this battle of trying to change the planet, trying to change other people. I'm going to change you to make me more happy. You're not how I want you to be. Try to change other people. Oh, that's tough. They have to want to change. Nobody could change me until I wanted to change. It's a big disappointment trying to change others. Trying to fight against society, change society. You can't change one person. You expect to change everyone? The political activists out there are already trying to fire off. One person can make a difference. You could make a difference to others by leading by example. Think of change as a movement, not something that's forced. Parents go through this struggle every single day, trying to force their kids to do shit. And kids don't want to do it. It's fucking knuckleheads. They just going to do whatever they want to do. It's a battle every single morning. That's why leading by example is so incredibly necessary and important. And this means that we go within. It's one of the core principles of Taoism. And going within. Buddhists talk about attachment as being a source of suffering. Attachment can be looked at philosophically as this really rigid view of how things are supposed to be, how life should be, how people should be, how the world should treat you, what the world should look like. These are people that are constantly looking for utopia. The idea of a utopian person, this utopian mindset of postmodernism, is just trying to force the world, trying to manipulate the world to change it. When I feel like the best form of survival is to look individualistically, not collectively, and to change ourselves. And if you want to make a change in society, rather than going around knocking on people's doors or trying to meme your message, force your message into people's heads, and maybe eventually they'll catch on. Like, you want to brainwash people is what you want to do. You have to lead by example. And if you're righteous and you're on a righteous path, others will follow. This is what Martin Luther King did. This is what Gandhi did. These type of people rise as leaders organically, they don't start a movement. They rise within a movement because they're these wonderful examples. This is all just how people navigate, how people survive. Now, there is basic survival. And I have to concede this point. I probably should have started with it. I've done survival training out in the woods, where they literally drop you off into the woods with nothing, and you have to figure it out. They come back and get you after a week. You're supposed to build a shelter. You have certain tasks you're supposed to do. You have to find water. You're thirsty. You got to figure out how to find water. You know, when I was building my shelter, the first day, it's the first thing I did. You have to manipulate your environment. I'm changing the environment. I'm breaking branches. Sure, I could have gone within and just sat there in some sort of cross-legged lotus pose and been like, oh, this is good enough, I don't need a shelter. So there is an aspect of survival where you manipulate your surroundings, but there's only so much of that you can do. This is why people like Jim Carrey, the actor, the comedian, when he mentioned in that famous speech, it was like a university address, you can find it on YouTube, he became a rather deep guy. I'm not sure if I like him now because he became political, but he went through like a Zen stage, which I enjoyed. And he mentioned, which was wise words, that he wishes that everybody could experience being wealthy. Wishes he could give everybody $1 million or whatever they think being rich is. So you could see what that comfort is like and what that lifestyle is like. And so you could realize the reality of things, that's not going to solve your problems. Because your problems are within. I used to move around the country. I thought that my environment was the problem. When I would move, I would constantly move. Every 2 years I would move. Even if it was just across town, just to move for moving. Just to move. Always thinking that that's somehow an aspect of my personal growth. But I was avoiding going within and stuck trying to change my environment. And I realize now that I've gotten to a certain level of mental maturity that a lot of the moves I did weren't necessary. I could have settled 5 towns ago. I don't regret where I'm at, but I don't need to move anymore. I've been here now for 18 years, 15 years, however long I've been in Florida. And a lot of that is this mental shift of learning to adapt better, learning to change who I am, learning to survive better. This is all food for thought. I hope somebody gets this out there. Thanks for watching.